Preview.
How Good is Your Emergency Plan? By Dan Nord and Brian Harper. Few people actually consider that Dan's emergency on-call staff answer more than 3,500 calls on the hotline every year. Not surprisingly, a considerable number of these calls involve situations that could have been managed with good planning and a careful eye to preparation. Although contacting Dan can be a vital part of any emergency plan, Dan's effectiveness as an assistance provider is greatest when it's treated as one of the components of a larger, more comprehensive plan. When preparing for emergencies, be ready for a variety of scenarios. It's impossible to anticipate everything, but a good plan can reduce fear, anxiety, and loss with an associated emergency. Not all dive emergency plans are created equal, but all have the same purpose: to list essential considerations and provide a framework for performing key functions in response to an incident. Emergency plans can be divided into 3 sections: prevention, preparedness, and response. So, how does your plan measure up? On the prevention side, while it's true that written emergency plans typically start at the incident, attention to factors that cause diving emergencies can avert them altogether. The best dive emergency is the one that never happens. Physical fitness. In other words, exercise for cardiopulmonary fitness, strength, flexibility, and muscular endurance that fits with the type of diving planned and the environment involved. Medical fitness. Consider chronic or short-term health concerns, such as congestion, risk of eosinus barotrauma, and all the traveling maladies and gastrointestinal problems that may be part of general health and stamina. Be honest with yourself prior to diving. If you're not feeling 100%, best to postpone it. Appropriate training and education. Never stop developing your diving abilities. Continuing education helps to refine basic skills, broaden general diving knowledge, and both of these increase your ability to prevent or respond to an emergency. Get training for the type of diving you're interested in pursuing, whether it's drift diving, wreck, reef, mixed gas, or cave diving, and then practice skills like buoyancy and navigation. Proper and well-maintained diving equipment. Divers must understand the capabilities, but also the limitations of their equipment and those of their buddy. This means having your gear inspected and getting appropriate training in its use and maintenance. Safe and conservative diving. Take time to evaluate your dive habits and styles. Work to develop a culture of safety for both yourself and the group you're diving with. Knowledge of local hazards. Familiarize yourself with potential hazards unique to the particular dive sites. Consider hazardous marine life, currents, and the potential for rapid changes to weather and sea conditions. So again, those factors are physical fitness, medical fitness, appropriate training and education, proper and well-maintained diving equipment, safe and conservative diving habits, and knowledge of local hazards. Next, preparedness. Despite our best efforts to prevent them, emergencies do still happen. The better prepared you are to deal with them, the better the outcomes are likely to be. Preparedness is about having the right pieces in place when disaster strikes. The following factors will help as prompts. Knowledge of local resources. Develop a written list of facilities and emergency resources in the area, including hospitals and clinics, search and rescue providers, transportation, and evacuation services. Keep that list up to date periodically by verifying the accuracy of the information and enter the most important numbers in your phone. Remember that injured divers should always be taken to the nearest medical facility for assessment, not the closest chamber. Chambers are not always equipped to receive injured divers directly. An evaluation by a medical practitioner or physician must come first. First aid training. Get trained in basic life support and oxygen administration, and know what training and skills your fellow divers have. Dan offers various courses, such as basic life support, first aid, oxygen first aid for scuba diving, etc. Emergency equipment. Have a well-stocked first aid kit, enough oxygen to at least be able to take one injured diver all the way to hospital. Routinely inspect the contents of the first aid kit and ensure nothing is missing. It's quite common to be raided. Also replace damaged or expired equipment and supplies. Check the hose, O-ring and pressure of your oxygen cylinder. Information sharing. Tell your dive buddy about any allergies, medical conditions, and health support or coverage, including Dan membership you may have. Anything else that may be important in the event of an emergency should also be readily available. If you're uncomfortable sharing personal information, write it down, seal it in an envelope, let your buddy know what and where it is. Also make sure someone on shore knows what's going on and when to expect you back. Mental readiness. Be an aware diver. You need to know that even if you do everything right, bad things can happen. So don't be caught off guard when they do. One level head can create calm in the midst of crisis. So those components again: knowledge of local resources, first aid training, emergency equipment, information sharing, and mental readiness. Lastly, response. Response is the implementation of the plan. It's the split-second decisions made and the actions taken. These affect the outcome of the day's events. So what factors are involved? Scene management. During an emergency situation, it's important to have pre-assigned tasks to specific individuals. Determine who will provide care to the injured diver, who will call the emergency hotline, who will manage bystanders, and who will secure equipment. Make sure your plan accounts for any divers still in the water. Care of the injured diver. Remember that rescuer and bystander safety does come first. Don't forget to wear gloves when providing care. Ensure circulation, airway and breathing, and stop any bleeding you find, and provide oxygen. Communications and logistics. Good coordination of the various parties involved in an emergency reduces everybody's stress levels. Designate someone to liaise amongst the caregivers, the captain, the crew, the emergency service personnel, and Dan. This person ensures that everybody knows what they need to know and can keep things moving forward in a coordinated way. Documentation. Good notes allow caregivers to observe trends in an injured diver's condition, and they serve as a reminder of what treatments have been administered, and they also provide some legal protection. Debriefing. Give everyone involved in an emergency the opportunity to discuss what happened. Allow each participant to describe his or her experiences and ask each other questions in an environment that is free from judgment. Formal processing of an event can improve psychological well-being and enhance individuals' ability to respond to future emergencies. So here are those factors again: scene management, care of the injured diver, communications and logistics, documentation, and debriefing. In closing, diving should be a positive experience. Dive with care. Remember that Dan is here to answer any questions you may have about your emergency plan, but we can't create it for you. Dan is a part of your emergency plan, but there are many other parts that you must put into place yourself. Incorporating these important elements and promoting good planning to divers of all levels, from novice to instructor, contributes to safer diving for everyone.